let's get started. Here we go. I'm in the right place at the right time.
Ready? I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be.
Oh, my soul.
Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Woo! Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome to Unity of the Oaks Sunday service, July 16th, 2023. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you for joining me for today's meditation. We're going to be looking at soul's journey and that ability that we need to trust and let go while we walk the spiritual human path. This was today's daily word. It was Soul Journey from December 16th, 1997. Let me read it as we get prepared for our time of meditation together. It says, I am on a journey of soul satisfaction and spiritual understanding. Since the moment I entered the physical realm, I have been searching to know more about why I'm here. And one thing I do know, my soul has answered the call to a journey that leads me to a greater spiritual understanding. Hope began the journey and faith sustains me along the way. In each step of the journey, I am accompanied by the love and understanding of God. I am gently yet unfailingly guided along my path. My journey is one of soul satisfaction, of moving forward in greater awareness of who I am and what I am about. I'm not driven by desperation, but inspired by a dedication to express God's life, love, and understanding through me. This is a journey of the soul that moves me forward in spiritual understanding and discovery. From Corinthians, it says, he who has prepared us for this very thing is God. Well, he who has prepared us for this very thing is love, the divinity of love. That we are always supported by this allness, this great energy of the universe, this one power and presence that all religions, all spiritual faiths speak of. So take a moment, just a few moments out of your day, out of your week, to sit and breathe. We don't often just sit and follow our breath. Here's your opportunity to do so. Part of being on a soul's journey is to take those times out of self-reflection, self-awareness, and rest. So get comfortable in your chair. Close your eyes, taking a breath in, following the breath in through your nose, being aware of the chest rising, and exhaling. And as you slowly exhale, just letting it go, letting the breath freely leave the body. And taking another breath in, breathing life itself, allowing life to breathe you as you take that breath. And then a slow exhale, knowing that you can't hold on and stop the breath. You just have to let go. And another breath as we breathe in, allowing life to breathe us. And again, just allowing the breath to leave. As we don't hang on to it, we just know it will all be all right. We trust the next breath and the next one. It's one last conscious breath. Allowing life to breathe in through you. Not hanging on, but allowing the breath to leave. And this next time, I invite you to call to mind something that you are ready to let go of. Maybe it's a thought, it's a habit, a situation, a relationship. Maybe it's a pain or disability. What are you ready to let go of? On your next breath, as you breathe in, allowing again life to breathe you, knowing your oneness. Breathing in, and as you exhale, allow yourself to let go of that which you are ready to release. And again, like a wave, allowing that wave to come in, your breath to come in. And as you exhale, as the wave goes out, letting go of that which you're ready to let go of, cutting the energetic ties, watching it go out to sea, fade away, done. You are free. Feeling yourself standing in your power, feeling yourself lit up from within out. See yourself aglow in your power of divinity, strength, faith. Whispering to yourself, I am supported, I am loved, all is well. I am supported, I am loved, all is well. Taking a moment to really sit with these words and allow them to become part of your essence, your knowing, your awareness that you are supported, that you are loved, that all is well. Trust, let go, all is well. Perhaps as we come to a close in our meditation, you can whisper one more time, all is well. I stand in my spiritual faith and strength. All is well. And so we return to the breath. Not holding on to the breath, just its natural rhythm, keeping us alive. We don't have to think about it. We trust. And so as we come back to the awareness of the chair and the room, we give thanks for these moments of remembering. We start to wiggle our fingers and our toes, maybe move our heads from side to side, taking another really rejuvenating, awakening breath. As we open our eyes, as we give thanks for these moments of remembering. You are supported, you are loved, and all is well. Trust and let go. And I know that you are very blessed on your spiritual journey ahead. Thank you for joining me for today's meditation.
I'm headed home, it's my place. Moving into spirit, I know I'm safe, I know I'm loved. Moving into spirit, the pain is past, the here is now. Moving into spirit, I'm going fast, I'm going slow. Moving into spirit, It's my place. Moving into spirit. I know I'm safe. I know I'm loved. Moving into spirit. The pain is past. The here is now. Moving into spirit. I'm going fast. I'm going slow. Moving into spirit. The love is here. The love is there. The love is everywhere. I'm headed home. It's my place. Moving into spirit.
Hi, welcome to our Finding Nemo episode. We are in the summer movies series this summer, July 2023. Last week I covered Forrest Gump, and this week it's Finding Nemo, the 2003 Best Animated Feature Film. And it's really, in my opinion, a story of our spiritual journey. It was inspired by the director and screenwriter. His name is Andrew Stanton. His childhood, going to the dentist and seeing the fish in the fish tank and thinking for sure that they wanted to escape and go back home to the ocean. That was the seed of this entire story. That's just so sweet. How many of you out there also had a fish tank at the dentist's office when you were a child? I know I did. I don't know why that's a thing, but it is. And it inspired this great story of Finding Nemo. So for those of you who've not watched Finding Nemo for a while, here is the synopsis. We have Marlin, who's a very overprotective clownfish dad. You can see him on our slides over here. He is the one that looks very worried. But you know what? He actually was living in the Great Barrier Reef. He has a wife. They have 400 eggs, and then the wife and 399 of the eggs get eaten up by a barracuda. So similar to last week's Forrest Gump, we have a main character here who has had a real life trauma, and that life trauma really dictates and alters how they end up, coping with the rest of their life and how they show up in life, how they start to maneuver around life. It's a great reminder just from the beginning here to me of our 4 agreements. And one of those being, don't take anything personally. We never know what someone has gone through, where they've walked, what their experiences have been, either that day or the years before. So he is really has been influenced by this event. So he's nervous because he only has one surviving child, which is Nemo. And Nemo has one fin that's shorter than the other. And so Marlin, his father, is always very nervous because he says Nemo's not a good swimmer. He can't swim strong. He's afraid that he's going to get lost amongst the other fish. We're 6 years later in the story. It's really where most of the story takes place. And Nemo is going to school for the very first time. And of course, Marlin is very, very, very nervous. But he gets distracted, and Nemo, who's upset with his dad at that moment, wants to prove that he's, not as scared like his dad is, but also that he wants to prove his dad wrong, that he is a strong swimmer. And so he goes out beyond the reef into the open sea to show, hey, I can do this. I can swim. And he even gets to the bottom of a boat that appears. And you know what? We've all had this, right? When we tell our kids, don't touch that, and what do? They touch it. Yeah. So his dad says, don't touch that boat. And of course, he takes his fin and pops that boat. And he's really shown off to his dad. But suddenly, a scuba diver comes and scoops up Nemo and takes him off. And he goes away in the boat, and he's off to a dentist office so he can be one of the fish in the tank at the dentist office. That sets Marlin, our overprotected dad, off on a long adventure. Now, along the way, at the very beginning, he comes across a fish named Dory, who is a blue tang. Here you go. She's that happy looking blue tang, but she's got short-term memory loss. So an interesting companion. This is an odd couple, definitely. But fun. And the two of them swim a great distance, managing to survive a whole bunch of crazy and daring adventures, including shark attacks, a big bad anglerfish, a swarm of jellyfish, a swirling vortex of terror that is the East Australian current, all in order to rescue Nemo from that dentist's office. And it's situated in the Sydney Harbor. So they have to go from the Great Barrier Reef to the Sydney Harbor. And they do all of that all over from one end of the ocean to the other. They're searching near and far to get to Nemo. Now, meanwhile, Nemo is actually in the dentist's office in that fish tank, and he and the other tank gang, is what they call them, the other sea creatures in that tank, they're all plotting and trying to get out of the tank, plot their escape back to the ocean with some failed attempts. Well, things seem to be really bad on the rescue mission for Marlin and Dory when all of a sudden they get swallowed whole by a whale. And in the belly of the whale, Marlin learns to trust Dory and let go of his fears. And lo and behold, the great whale shoots them out of his blowhole right into the Sydney Harbor, exactly where they need to be. Now, Nemo has heard from a pelican named Nigel. He's also in this picture. And Nigel has heard about Marlin, who's trying to get to his son. I mean, the story has been going through the oceans with all the different fish and mammals all the way to get, and now Nigel's bringing the story to Nemo, and he's like, this little clownfish has been so brave, and he's fighting off sharks. And Nemo says, oh, that's not my dad. My dad is not brave. Now, let's just put a pin right there, because that reminds me of something else. You know what? We should never hold anyone to that place and time, because all of us, any one of us, has the capability to change. Well, Marlin is being brave, and sure enough, with some other clues, Nemo realizes it is his dad. So he gets even more excited about escaping from this tank so that he can be reunited with his dad. So he plays dead so that the dentist has to flush him down the toilet because, as the fish say, all drains lead to the ocean. So he wants to get back to the ocean. He plays dead. Well, now as he's playing dead is right when Nigel then comes back with Marlin and Dory, and Marlin sees his son in the bag playing dead, but he thinks it's too late. He thinks he's lost Nemo. So he goes back into Sydney Harbor. He says, Dory, let's go our own ways. I'm all done. It's too late. But Nemo does end up escaping, and then father and son are reunited. But wait, there's one last adventure, because then a boat comes, fishing net comes and gets all these fish, including Dory. And it's Nemo who shows his dad that he can be very strong swimmer, brave. And Marlin also, he says, okay, you can do this. So he changes as well. And sure enough, we have all the fish are free, including Dory, freed from this net. So they go on to live out their lives in the Great Barrier Reef, happily ever after. We have Marlin, who's way more chill. We've got Nemo, who appreciates his dad more. And of course, we've got Dory, who's Dory. But we still love her, don't we? So, as I watched this movie, not once but twice, because we had a movie night here for church, and I also read the synopsis, and I just kept thinking, this is so much like life, right? Because along our path and in our spiritual evolution, sometimes the journey can be scary. Sometimes we come across some scary characters. Sometimes we come across some funny characters. Sometimes we may feel alone. Sometimes we go in and out of consciousness, because certainly Dory and Marlin get knocked out quite a few times. And we may feel so challenged that we think that we will never make our goal, or will never grow spiritually. So this lovely story, sweet story of this father, son, and Dory the fish adventure, I found that there was 5 different spiritual tools that we can pull from this great story and employ for our own spiritual journey and evolution. So here's this slide. The first one, stay awake. Stay awake, stay awake. Number 2, we can challenge ourselves and stretch ourselves outside of our comfort zone. And don't let your disability stop you. 3, get help from others and the influence others have on us. It's so powerful. Who are you surrounding yourself with? People who are going to lift you up and keep you going, or the negative Nellies? 4, trust and let go. That's our spiritual attribute of faith and release. And then finally, keep swimming. Don't give up. That's our spiritual attribute of strength. So let's dive right in. So number 1, the first tool that we can use in walking our spiritual path, we must stay awake. You know, during this herd of jellyfish that Marlin and Dory have to get through, they find that they can hop, because if they get stung, it will either hurt them or kill them, knock them out unconscious. So Marlin's trying to get Dory through these jellyfish, and he keeps saying, stay awake, stay awake, stay awake. And isn't that true? That's the key for us as spiritual beings having a human experience, is to stay awake. Marlin and Dory, again, they get knocked out quite a few times in the story. And just like us, we too can go in and out of consciousness in our evolution. Have you ever fallen asleep on your spiritual path or journey? Now, when we studied a few weeks ago, Robert Brummett's book, Birthing a Greater Reality, A Guide for Conscious Evolution, he has one entire chapter that's titled Waking Up. Because waking up is staying awake. There's also a group of sharks, and this group of 3 sharks is like an AA group. They're doing their best not to eat fish. So they're sharks, and they're trying not to eat fish. And they're having a meeting, and they ask Marlin what problems he has had, and Marlin says, I have no problems. And immediately they all answer, denial. Well, of course, denial. I mean, it's funny because we all have problems, and that's denial. But really for Marlin, I mean, come on, Marlin. First of all, what problems has he had? I mean, he's literally in the middle of trying to find his son that's been taken away and put in a dentist's office fishing tank. What problems has he had? He had a wife and 399 children that got eaten up. So to say I have no problems is truly denial. But this is what we do. See, it's part of our being awake. Being awake means to be self-aware. It means looking at what's really going on, even if it's not positive, or even if we don't like what we see. And it's then that awareness that allows us to stretch ourselves and to go outside of our comfort zone and to grow. But we can't do that if we're not aware. We can't do that if we're asleep or unaware or in denial. You know, the next scene is back at the tank in the dentist's office, and one of the fish in there is named Deb, and she sees her reflection in the mirror, and she thinks it's her. And she says to Nemo, oh, that's my rude sister Flo. She's looking at herself. That's my rude sister Flo. There's another scene where she's trying to see what's going on in the dentist's office, and she's like, Flo's in my way. How many of us get in our own way? We are a mirror to ourselves and to each other. Brummett writes, usually we don't see things as they are, as so much as we see them as we are. Who can relate to that? You know, I can see everyone out there and what they need to do to change, but I don't see it here in myself. And yet we're mirrors of each other back to us. So what I see here out there that's bothering me, if there's someone here that's really rubbing me the wrong way, what I need to do is take a look at me. reminding ourselves of this great term, which is to bear attention, B-A-R-E, bear attention, meaning to witness, to observe, observing oneself, to really ask, what am I hitting up against within myself that I still need to heal? Where do I still have some growing to do? Sometimes we do need to change our outside world. We do need to jump out of that fish tank, but it starts from observing from the inside out. So when we ask the question, what's the opportunity for growth? After we really see ourselves, after we really bear witness, then we're awake. And then that leads us to asking using another spiritual skill that I found in this movie, which is to do the things that challenge us and stretch our spiritual and personal growth. Dory always says, do you know what to do when you get stuck? Just keep swimming. Do you know what to do when life gets you down? Just keep swimming. And there are some really great role models here for this too, that even though sometimes we think it's so hard, how am I going to do it? I want to give up. I can't stretch myself. I can't do. No, just keep swimming. You can do hard things. You can do things that challenge you. So here's a great in real life example. Here's a great photo. His name is Nicholas James Vujicic. I believe I'm saying that correct. Maybe you've seen him before. He was born with no legs or arms. At the age of 10, he tried to commit suicide because of all the bullying he received. He is now an evangelical motivational speaker, sharing the message that your worth is not dependent on other people's opinions or your supposed disabilities. He's now married with 4 kids and a beautiful family. He's able to go fishing, to play handball with his head, to go swimming with his family. He is a New York Times best-selling author, including the books Life Without Limits, Unstoppable, Limitless, and Love Without Limits. He is estimated to have a monetary worth of over $500 million. Just keep swimming. Then for any of you tennis fans out there, if you've been watching women's tennis in Wimbledon the last couple weeks, you'll see there's a Ukrainian women's tennis player named, let me see if I get this one right, Alina Svitolina? Alina Svitolina. I believe that's how you say it. She's the Ukrainian women's tennis player. Well, early last year, she was exhausted physically from injuries and mentally from watching her country, Ukraine, get invaded by Russia. Then last October, she had a baby just 9 months before Wimbledon. This past week, she, after being off the tennis tour for 13 months, was in the semifinals in Wimbledon. An extremely unlikely condition, or comeback rather. Unheard of. She's quoted in the Wall Street Journal as saying, I think having a child and war made me a different person. I look at things differently. So not only did she, hone in on her skills during her time off, but she said she reshaped her thinking on the entire game of tennis. She says, after a war and child, nothing is worth agonizing over. She's quoted as saying, mentally, I don't take difficult situations as like a disaster, There are worse things in life. I'm just more calm. In other words, what we learned from Dory, you can do the seemingly impossible things. Just stay calm and keep swimming. Keep swimming, swimming, swimming. Stay calm, keep swimming. You can do it. Okay, the next important tool on our spiritual journey that we learned from Finding Nemo, getting help from others, how important it is to get help from others, and the power of the collective consciousness, but not just collective consciousness, collective action. Marlin is in the ocean and he's frustrated. He says, no one in this entire ocean is helping me. And then there's Dory, his short memory friend, who says, I am. Dory, with her short-term memory, may not look like help. In fact, sometimes help may not come in the way we think. It may not look the way we think it's going to look. It might not appear the way we think it's going to appear, but we need to stay open and aware and awake so that we know when it does appear. Some of you may know that joke about the flood. So there is a flood that's coming, it's rising, and there's a very religious man. He says, I'm going to wait for God to rescue me. Well, the waters are now up to his waist, and a boat comes, and they say, come on, hop on the boat. And he says, no, I'm waiting for God. God will save me. Well, the waters keep on rising, and now he's on the second floor of his house, and another boat comes by, and they say, come on, hop in the boat. And he says, no, I'm waiting for God to save me. God will save me. Well, now the waters have risen more, and he's on the top roof, and he's barely hanging on to that top part of the roof, and a helicopter comes, and they drop down a ladder, and they're like, come on, come up the ladder, we'll get you out of here. And he says, no, I'm waiting for God to save me. Well, he drowns, and then he's in front of God, and he says, hey, I believed in you. Why didn't you save me? And God replies, what more did you want? I sent 2 boats and a helicopter. Yeah, sometimes help comes in a different way than we think or imagine it might come. Stay open. Even with the tank gang in Nemo, they keep looking for different ways for Nemo to get out. But they're all working together to get Nemo out of the tank and back to his dad. It's a team effort. See, that's the beauty when we look for help, and we can help each other too. There's a moment that Marlin insists of going his own way. No, I'm going to go this way. Even though there was a whole school of fish saying, go that way. He's like, no, I'm going to go. And not following the help of others slows him down. People might be trying to help you, but sometimes we insist we're right, or we got to do it this way, or we know what's best. And yet, there's 2 boats and a helicopter for you. Allow yourself to be supported. Allow yourself to ask for help. Receive guidance. And then be open to receiving in whatever form, however that looks. And remember, it does really matter who we surround ourselves with. See, there's a group of sea turtles in this journey. And, the main sea turtle, Crush is his name. And he's like a surfer dude. He's like, yo, dude, how you doing, dude? Can't do the voice, but you get it. Surfer dude. And they're literally going with the flow of the Australian current. And Marlin this makes a big, strong impression on Marlin, overprotective, worried dad, because the turtles let their children just go out swimming, even if it's a dangerous new skill. It reminds us how important it is to surround ourselves with people who are going to support us in kind, gentle ways, who will teach us, who will allow us to grow, who believe in us and the better version of us, who are willing to give us a lifting hand up. Not so much to get in our way, but for us to know that we can do it for ourselves too. The sharks are supporting each other in not eating fish. They've got affirmations, they've got a support group, they have encouraging words for each other. They're not hanging out with all the other fish-eating sharks. They're hanging out with the sharks, the ones who are supporting them in their quest to be higher evolved sharks. Who are you surrounding yourself with? And in a larger sense, in helping one another, at that end, when Nemo tells the fish in the net that all get caught, including Dory, who he's trying to save, to swim to the bottom of the net, to break the net. What nets do we as a collective need to break? What nets can we break together? There's the racism net, sexism net, ageism net, all the isms. We can break all of those nets together. There is power in collective consciousness and collective action. So we can all sit around and meditate all day long but it takes action. It's our fifth unity principle. It's not enough to sit around and just meditate and read and know. You got to get out and do the work together. Where two or more of you are gathered, there am I. We can do hard things alone, and we can also do hard things bigger together. Spiritual community is about raising consciousness together. Having a transformative experience is about what we've learned and shared together. Holding each other to a higher vibration or energy frequency, that's what we can do as a collective. Breaking the old nets to become free, we can do that together. We aren't on this journey alone. Get help, get support. Who are you supporting and surrounding yourself with? And we can do hard things and grow together. We aren't here to journey alone. As Dory says, it's the ocean, silly. We're not the only two in here. And she also says, I remember things better when I'm with you. We remember things better when we're with each other, when we're in spiritual community together. We can remind each other of our divinity, of our power, of our strengths, of our gifts. Okay, everyone, the next spiritual tool from this movie on this spiritual journey path that we're all on is to trust and let go. Sometimes, like our friends Marlon and Dory, we may get stuck in a very big situation, and one of those cases is a big whale. So they get stuck in a whale. Yes, similar to Jonah and the whale. Well, Jonah and the whale, in that biblical story, to say getting swallowed by a whale, Jonah got swallowed by a whale, in biblical times when that was written, it's very similar to you and I saying, oh, he really got into a pickle. Did he really get into a pickle? No, what we're saying is he got into a really challenging situation, a tough situation. What's also interesting here is that the metaphysical meaning of the name Jonah is someone who expects bad luck or failure. Well, hello, Marlin. Mr. Marlin, our overprotective worried dad, is all about bad luck and failure. So Marlin has gotten himself in a very challenging situation that he feels he can't get out of. Now, Dory, our lovely blue friend, she thinks that she can speak whale. I mean, she's going, oh, that's really crazy and funny. And she's saying that the whale is saying to let go. But Marlin is holding on to that old thought and that old belief to not let go, to keep holding on, to be afraid. For just a moment, can you think of an old belief or an idea that you've been holding on to that may be preventing you from getting to where you want to go? So they're in the whale, and the water is like coming down. They're holding on to the tongue. Now, ironically, if they keep holding on to just the tongue, they will die and will be eaten. But he's holding on tight. And he says, you can't just let go. And Dory, translating whale speak from the whale, says, he says to let go. Everything is going to be all right. And Marlin says, how do you know? How do you know something bad is not going to happen? And Dory says, I don't. I don't. Yeah, for me, this brought up my own son. Our son, Graham, who's going to be 19 soon, wanting to drive off to the Grand Canyon in his little Hyundai with a friend. And I was just so afraid. I'm feeling so much fear. What if something bad happens? I had this exact conversation with my husband. What if something bad happens? How do you know something bad is not going to happen? And my husband said, I don't. But that doesn't mean we can keep him from going. Because maybe something good will happen. Yeah. What are all of us afraid to let go of? What are we holding on to so strongly with our fear? So it's about trust. So Marlin trusts, he lets go, And not only is it okay, it's more than okay. Because as he lets go, the whale shoots them out of his blowhole and right where they need to be in Sydney Harbor. He delivers them exactly where he needs to be. Do you see this? You trust, you let go, and you end up exactly where you need to be. He was so afraid to let go, but when he trusts, there's the goal, delivered. There's another time too when the pelican Nigel is delivering them, over to the dentist's office. Now, Nigel, the pelican, is saying to climb into his mouth. Now, if you're a fish, you do not want to climb into a pelican's mouth. But again, here's trust. Nigel's saying, you have to trust me. I will take you to Nemo. I know where he is. They have to trust and climb in his mouth. I recently spoke to someone. They were sharing their life with me. And I asked them how they'd overcome their hardships. They'd had quite a few hardships in their life. And they said, well, I always said yes. This answer confused me. And I said, can you tell me more about that? What do you mean you always said yes? And he said, I always heard an answer or guidance within me. And I was never afraid or questioned it. I just always said yes to that inner voice. And what I found is that it steered me right towards my greatest growth. We have spiritual attributes of faith, to believe in that which we can't see, and the spiritual attribute of release, to let go of the fear and do it anyway. And our spiritual power or attribute of strength, which keeps us moving forward even when we don't think we can. At one point, before being reunited with Nemo, Marlin says to Dory, but I promised I wouldn't let anything happen to him, meaning I wouldn't let anything happen to Nemo. And here's how Dory responds on this slide. She says, well, that's a funny promise. You can't never let anything happen to him, then nothing would ever happen to him. See, we can try to bubble wrap ourselves and keep ourselves protected, but then nothing is going to happen. But also, life is going to happen. We can't keep ourselves from the hardships of life, from the challenges of life. They're going to happen. So, we can allow both the good and the not so good to happen, but we can promise ourselves to trust. See, I can't promise you that if you meditate every day or you read spiritual books every day, that nothing will ever happen to you, bad or good. Again, because life just happens. But are you going to trust that it will all be okay? Will you listen to the internal guidance and say yes? Will you believe in yourself even if one fin maybe is shorter than the other? And will you know that during challenges, if you keep your focus and just keep swimming, you will make it. And that's the last of the spiritual practices that we learn from this movie. Even when things seem hard, just keep swimming. Plug into your inner spiritual power of strength and keep moving forward. So Dory, who's been translating the whale the entire time they're around the whale, in the whale, after they get blown out of the whale, and Marlin then tries to say thank you to the whale in whale speak, and Dory says, wow, I wish I could speak whale. And isn't that our challenge on the spiritual human path? We forget sometimes. We forget who we are and we forget our gifts. All drains lead to the ocean is very similar to, hold on here, stick with me here, all paths lead to God. All paths lead to God. But how hard are you going to make it on yourself? In that fish tank is Gil, and he has some very complicated plans. But then we've got Nemo, who makes a very easy plan, gets out easy. Will you receive support from others? Will you be around the people who are going to lift you up and who want to see you succeed? The entire ocean wants to see Marlin succeed. They want to see father and son reunited, and all of them are telling of the story. They're all cheering Marlin on. Let other people do the same for you. Let them cheer you on. And the beauty of Dory, our short-term memory friend, is that she does remember the goal the entire time. She may not remember anything else, but she does remember the goal. So keep the goal. The goal, whether it's a spiritual growth, material goal, keep it in focus. You may get there differently than you thought you would, but let go of the outcome and trust that it will unfold. And stay awake. Stay awake to yourself and to your personal and spiritual path. Sometimes we may fall asleep. There's about 4 times that Marlin and Dory get knocked out and fall asleep, but they awake again and keep on swimming. You can go through life consciously or unconsciously. The choice is yours. So focus, do the work, get support, trust, and let go. Moses put his foot in the water before he could part the sea. Take the first step. Use your spiritual attributes of strength, faith, and release to help you just keep swimming towards your soul's growth and a joyous life experience. And that is my metaphysical musings from the 2003 Best Animated Film, Finding Nemo. Blessings, everyone. Thanks for joining me.
Moses had to put his foot in the water, foot in the water, foot in the water. Moses had to put his foot in the water before God would part that sea. Moses had to put his foot in the water, foot in the water, foot in the water. Moses had to put his foot in the water before God would part that sea. And Moses said, God, I hope you're listening, and in my heart I know you are. And I'm sure you would not leave us here after bringing us this far. But man, I gotta tell you, Lord, things are looking mighty tense. I got Pharaoh and the boys behind me, and I don't see a hole in this fence. Moses had to put his foot in the water, foot in the water, foot in the water. Moses had to put his foot in the water before God would part that sea. And God said, Moses, you're full of greatness, and I've got big plans for you. But for now, I gotta tell you, Mo, this is what I want you to do. You gotta raise your staff and tell everyone to get into the swim. 'Cause if you want that sea to part, my boy, you're gonna have to get in. Moses had to put his foot in the water, foot in the water, foot in the water. Moses had to put his foot in the water before God would part that sea. Oh yeah! Now I've got daily seas to part, and I've got cliffs to climb. And he may not be where I expect him, but he always shows up on time. that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me.
The light of God surrounds us. We are the light. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love. The power of God protects us. We are the power. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Here we go. God is good, good in everyone. And a thought can change your water into wine. Prayer and meditation make it easy to feel. But you gotta walk the talk to make it real.